AFC Leopards had to call on Robert Matano to help them beat Kisumu Posta. 1994. A story is told of Kenyan football in the 80s and early 90s. It is the story that the current generation is missing. A story of the Kenyan football scene that is so subtle and real, yet it narrated like a movie script. A story clouded with black magic, passion, humor, and strength. A story of drawing blood on the pitch. This is the story of football made in Kenya, or at least, that is why I think this story must be told for the sake of this generation and future generations. This story must be preserved. This is a story in history. A story is told of donning two of the greatest club jerseys in the country. These jerseys were not put on by just anyone, and these jerseys were put on by the best of the best. In the 80s and early 90s, to don an AFC jersey was not about the player. Meet the man who kicked off his education at GK Prison Primary School in Eldoret Town before joining Wareng Secondary School, where they shared a class with the current Deputy President, William Ruto, as well as Moses Tanui, who won the 1996 Boston Marathon. After 3 years at Wareng Secondary School, the talent scouts at his rural home in Kakamega spotted Asibwa and had him transferred to the soccer giant Kakamega High School. If you have any ounce of history in you, which is what we're trying to preserve, and if you have none, keep walking with me. Don't worry, at the end of this journey, you would know why Kakamega wanted him. He was a talent. Simply put, he must have been good. Here is where he met Mike Wambani, Computer, one of the best players to ever walk out of Kakamega High. The story goes that he was a defender's nightmare, credited to his size and speedy light feet, quite lethal on the wings. The adage is only one came close to stopping him. This was Austin Odwor Makamu, who was left clutching on his shirt collar as Computer headed for the goal at the City Stadium. story for another day. Asibwa's first stint at national club soccer was in 1992 while working for the national carrier Kenya Airways. This is where he met the heavyweights of soccer, names that we are yet to get others to replace. When you talk of Mahmoud Abassa, Josephat Murila, Controller, John Odie Kasongo, Justice Muhati, Vitalis Wara, David Ochieng, Shoto Lukoye, and Ben Gashie, among others. Don't worry, their story will be told. You are tapping into the legends of football, people the pitch worshipped, people so talented that they had to be given a rider to their names. By then, Kenya Airways had a games department that employed these big names who also donned the national jersey. The games department at Kenya Airways was later to be disbanded in 1996 when the airline company was privatized. Before making that entire important trip to Nairobi, Asibwa had a stint at MOW Modcom between 1986 and 1987 to 1990 in Kakamega, where he played alongside Mike Wambani and Hudson Majimbo. Apart from Musa Otieno, Asibwa remains the only player to have played for the national team, Harambee Stars, while still in high school. He played in Angola for the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier as well as Mozambique, but unfortunately or fortunately, he missed the first ever Stars trip to Brazil when the Stars were going for their training before heading to the Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco in 1988. He had just sat his Form 4 exams and had made a good score. He was to continue with Form 5, which is when the KFF leadership of Sami Obingo and Jobomino prevailed upon him to skip the trip and concentrate on his education. As the team was heading towards JKIA to board the plane to Brazil, while he was headed to Machakos bus station to board a bus. In 1992, Joe Kadenge visited Asibwa's dad, the late Ibrahim Lubobi. It was not an ordinary visit, and it was a visit that Asibwa had hoped for a long time. Joe Kadenge was at Busulua village in Kakamega. He was here to ask for Asibwa's feet. Literally, his services were required at AFC Leopards. This was a dream come true. At AFC Leopards, he played alongside Wilberforce Mulama, Mickey Weche, T9, Patrick Shim, Francis Kadenge, Richard Madegwa, the late Bernard Otieno Zico, Musa Otieno, among others. Matano's advice to AFC Leopards. They were not to use the main entrance at Nyayo Stadium while making their way onto the pitch. The team was to make an entry through Gate 7 led by the scouts. The police tried to stop them from coming through the gate, but they threatened to abandon the game, which was when the police allowed them to jump the fence as they made it to the pitch. Remember, it was the Moi Golden Cup, and no one would want to call it off. And that is how Robert Matano found his way into mainstream soccer in Kenya. His story shall be told as well. AFC Leopards prides itself on players, not just good players, but great players. Not just any other player could adorn this jersey. Here is Asibwa's greatest lineup of all time. John Busolo between the poles, the late Hezekiah Shikanda, position 2, brother Dan Shikanda, Francis Odwol, Kolo Kolo, left back, Reginald Asibwa, position 4, Musa Otieno, Mickey Weche, T9, the late Bernard Otieno Zico, Washington Kamadi, Patrick Shim, William Inganga, and Michael Bonyo. Here the set pieces were left for Michael Bonyo, Musa Otieno, and Francis Odwor. This was sure scores for AFC Leopards. It is Asibwa's take that what took them from home to the pitch was not just a play, it was passion and love for the game. It was a duty for them, unlike today's players. He opines that even the Isikuti dancers today feel that the team or club is yet to attain the level required. During their days, the song went Ngao wa Henyeranga, Ngao wa Henyeranga, loosely translated to that is what we want, that is what we want. According to Asibwa, the songs no longer render the air at the stadium because nothing is running well. The team is yet to hit their elastic point. The players no longer give it their all. In short, the team is not yet there. So are the dull fans that grace the pitches. His worst nightmare on the opposite side was Henry Motego Ndovu since his high school days at Itero High School. He credits the player with great speed as well as passion to go beyond his ability. He could give 110%, he says. The other player who gave him nightmares was Peter Dawo. His early days at Motcom are full of humor and great moments some of us only wish to have lived to experience. One such experience is the story of their two goalkeepers, Bakari and Leander. The day they ate to their fill, with either of them thinking that the other would be the one in the lineup. They all were so full that no one could stand between the poles. The team doctor had to be called to help them out. Eating was one of their greatest moments of playing for the team. He alludes that Bakari could eat up to 8 chapatis. This is the story of how Robert Matano made it to the limelight.